Melissa Lee.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion that a respectful address be presented to His Excellency the Governor-General in his reply to His Excellency's speech. I'd like to begin my maiden speech by congratulating you, Mr. Speaker, on your election to the chair and wish you, your deputy and assistant speakers my very best. From a journalist's point of view, how this House has operated in the past, your job is one that requires the patience of a saint. And if the little time I've actually spent speaking with you in the past few weeks is any indication, I've no doubt will benefit greatly from your vast experience in Parliament. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the Honourable Anand Satyanan, our Governor-General. It is an honour to be giving my maiden speech under his watch. I'd like to pay tribute to our Prime Minister, the Honourable John Kiwi, for delivering such a fabulous election result for the National Party and New Zealand. You are indeed the fresh leadership the country has demanded, and I'm privileged to be a part of the future you envisioned. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the National Caucus and other parliamentary colleagues. It is indeed my great honour to be here with you all and to call you my colleagues. I'd like to particularly acknowledge our very first Asian member, and now the first Cabinet Minister of Asian origin, Honourable Pansy Wong, who has encouraged and supported me. You have my gratitude. I'd like to pay tribute to our National Party President, Judy Kirk, who has shown me that a powerful woman need not lack grace or style. Thank you for your guidance and love. I'd like to also thank the National Party Northern Regions, Alice DeBell, Alan Towers, Kate Graham and Peter Kiley, who were there to help me with a friendly ear and a ready advice whenever I needed it. I'd also like to acknowledge the former Prime Minister, Right Honourable Alan Clark, who has been a great supporter of the television programme Asia Down Under and the Korean Cinema Trust over the years. Thank you. It is with great honour that I deliver my maiden speech, not only as the first MP of Korean descent in New Zealand, but also as the first woman of Korean descent to become an MP outside of Korea. It is indeed humbling. It is truly a sign that the world has come of age in a global sense. It is also a step toward realising our Prime Minister's and the National Party's vision to make our Parliament more diverse and truly representative of the population that now make up our country. I'm also very pleased to be giving my maiden speech in this House at a time when New Zealand has chosen to say no to a particular party whose policy gains support from people who dislike me simply because of my ethnic heritage. Call it irony or just a fortunate turn of events that with the exit of that particular party comes the First Minister of Asian origin in the Cabinet. New Zealand has come of age, it seems, by saying we have no room at this particular inn for racists. It is the dawning of a new era, and it is my privilege to be a part of it. Ka mihi atu ki te tangata whenua o tira ki ngā waka huhua katoa e whiti mai I te moana nui a kiwa mai I Hawaii nui ki Aotearoa.
I pay homage to the Indigenous people, to all of the canoes that crossed the Pacific Ocean from Hawaii to New Zealand.
Nā rātou te ara I whakatakoto o tira nai rātou te ohake I ea ai te kōrero he iwi ko tahi tātou.
They paved the way, they initiated a unity that has made us who we are today. We are one people.
Pera ia rātou I haere mai o ki konei marunga I tētahi waka I te tauwaru te kao mawaru.
Like them, I too arrived on a waka in 1988.
Engari ko ngā hoi o tō waka he parirau ki ai tere aki te haere I tera o ngā waka a ngā tūpuna.
The only difference was that my oars were replaced with wings, and it travelled much faster than that of the ancestors.
Ka awhi au I a Aotearoa, ka awhi mai a Aotearoa, I a ai I tēnei rā ko au tēnei kua pōwai.
But as I embraced New Zealand, it embraced me back and nurtured me into what I have become.
E tēnei rā ka mina o ki te ki nuku ano hoki tēnei whenua, nuku hoki tēnei tūranga waiwai.
Today, I can honestly identify myself as being a New Zealander and Aotearoa being my home.
Nō reira, kua te mai, te waihi, whakautu ki te motu I tāna I homai ai ki a ao.
Therefore, the opportunity to get back to New Zealand, what it has given to me, has come to hand.
New Zealand is indeed a land of many people, of diverse cultures and heritage, and I'm proud to be representing the third largest Asian population in New Zealand, the Koreans. It was reported before the elections that only 2% of the 40,000 Korean population voted in previous elections. If the support I received during the campaign is any indication, I'd say 100% of Korean Kiwis, also known as Kois, voted on November 8th. And I'd like to thank them, regardless of which party they voted for, because voting is the ultimate realization that we live in a democracy. The Korean settlement in New Zealand isn't long, and often I'm confronted by people's misconception of Korea formed out of ignorance, and often by television programs like MASH. And when people have preconceived ideas about what you like, settlement into New Zealand can be paved with tears. I remember a Korean migrant who had a visit from the police when the stench from dried cuttlefish, a Korean delicacy, raised the curiosity of her neighbors, who jumped to the conclusion that she must have killed her Pākehā husband to have produced such foul stench. But now when I look around New Zealand, our cities, I'm pleased to see restaurants offering food from different cultures. And it isn't just us black-haired people who frequent these premises. I've even been told our Prime Minister likes kimchi, which is literally fermented bok choy full of chili and garlic. And according to one of my European friends, smells like sewage, which is rather strange to me because it smells comforting to me. I'm grateful New Zealand's taste buds and sense of smell is evolving. The variety we have now makes us more interesting than the era of big boil-ups. Thankfully, it's not only our taste buds that have evolved. When my parents first left Korea more than 30 years ago to provide my brother John and I a brighter future, it took a lot of courage. The pioneering spirit New Zealanders value, and courage was what ultimately brought them to Aotearoa. Through failed businesses and lost opportunities, my parents worked harder than anyone I know to provide good life for my brother and me. Never once did they complain about not getting a handout, nor did they ask for one from the government or anyone else. They took the personal responsibility for our family. It is something we learn from our childhood, and we are in turn instilling in our own children to value. I still remember my early days in Auckland. My day at the Sunday News as a young reporter would finish around 5 p.m, and while others went to the pub, I headed for my parents' dairy in Grafton. We'd all work as a family till the shop closed at 11 p.m, and then have supper together and drive home. A strong family bond was always fostered and maintained through my mother's strong leadership. My story isn't unique. It is a story of thousands of Asian migrants who have come before me and who will also come in the future, who now make up about 10% of New Zealand's population. Family is also the foundation in which New Zealand was built. As a mother raising a 10-year-old boy, I've become frightened for all children growing up in New Zealand in recent times. I wish there were more parents like mine who would go the extra distance. But New Zealand has had a shameful record when it comes to our children, and there have been some pitiful examples of parents and caregivers. I was overjoyed to hear the convictions of Wiremu and Michael Curtis at the Rotorua High Court recently for the murder of 3-year-old Nia Galassi, and of the conviction of Nia's mother, Lisa Kuka. No child should have gone through what Nia did, and no child should ever in the future. More shocking to me than the abuse and the murder of Nia was the fact that the neighbors, friends, and family who knew what was going on turned a blind eye to the horrific abuse this innocent child suffered at the hands of these monsters. It is indeed a sad indictment on our country. It is also very pleasing to read about the arrest made for the killing of octogenarian Madam Yang, who died in her home earlier this year. What she must have gone through, the fear, the violence, and the eventual death. I can only but imagine. As a victim of a home invasion myself, who was confronted by 2 men wearing balaclavas with a gun and a hammer, I don't feel safe in my own home, let alone in the streets. More than 10,000 people took to the streets to march against violence in South Auckland earlier this year. It is my hope that their voices are heard and repaid with a tougher stance against criminals in this country. It is not right that Madam Yang had to die in her own home, where she should have had her safety guaranteed. It is not right that little Nia Glassie died at the hands of people who should have protected and cared for her. It is our duty as a nation to provide safety in our homes and in our communities. It is a priority that we must deliver as lawmakers, in my view. Our children are our future, but instead of teaching them to become achievers, we are teaching them it is okay to become losers. Instead of teaching them the values of hard work and the satisfaction that comes with it, we're teaching them not to bother, because the government is always there with an open purse, promoting a government-funded dependence. Instead of reporting unspeakable crimes like that inflicted upon Nia Glassie, people are cowering behind closed curtains for fear they'll be accused of meddling. Instead of celebrating our New Zealand identity, our children are growing up lost between American, British, and Australian television programs which dominate our airwaves, because we're too frightened to put a stake in the ground to say, this is who we are. As a child, when I needed to find some information, I turned to the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, children turn to Google. We must use technology to foster New Zealand identity our children so lack and need. We must use television, radio, and the internet to empower them, to make them understand who they are and where they stand in the world, to make them stand proud to be Kiwis, regardless of what their ethnic heritage may be. There must be a mandate to provide and support local programming to foster these identity issues, because without it, our children will never be empowered. Take a look at South Auckland. It seems absurd to me that people who should feel proud of their Pacifica and Māori cultures should feel proud to display the ghetto cultures of America. New Zealand is a young country compared to the country I was born in. Korea has a 5,000-year-old history, but it doesn't mean New Zealanders can't feel proud of our heritage. I may not have been born here, I may not have even been brought up here, but I made a commitment to become a New Zealander, and I'm a proud carrier of a New Zealand passport. This is a privilege, and I'm proud to call myself a Kiwi. But not all New Zealanders would accept that I'm a Kiwi because of my skin color. I will forever be a foreigner. This must change. We are far too small a nation to be divisive. We must work together to decide who we are as a nation and work together to achieve where we want to be in the future. We've had some brilliant moments in history where we've led the world. New Zealand was the first country to give a woman the vote. It was New Zealander Ernest Rutherford who split the atom, and the late Sir Edmund Hillary. We've also produced bands and actors over the years, some of whom Australia insists are theirs. There are many others, far too many to name them all, who are placing New Zealand on the map. We should not only applaud their successes, we should celebrate it and build a nation these global Kiwis would feel proud coming home to. Many people ask me why I put my name forward to be selected by the National Party. As a journalist of 20 years, it wasn't possible for me to show my true colours, although close friends and family have known for a long time. The reason I decided to come out, so to speak, was because I felt the need to have a say in shaping the future of New Zealand. With my 20-year career in journalism and business, I feel like I'm equipped with just a little life experience. To close, I'd like to thank some very special people in my life. My mother, Minja. Thank you. Thank you for always. I always do this when I talk about her. Thank you for encouraging me that there is nothing I can't do. My dad, Peter, for his hard work to give John and me the very best opportunity in life. And to my son, Ethan, you campaign impress me, boy. I didn't ask you to do that. I love the I'm a key person t-shirt that you took to school every day. I want to work hard so that I can become a good role model for you. I hope I make you proud. 뉴질랜드 한국 교민 여러분, 그리고 전 세계에 계시는 동포 여러분, 그동안 저에게 보내주신 상황 감사드립니다. 그동안 저에게 보내주신 격려는 저에게 피가 물보다 진하다는 것을 새삼 느끼게 해주셨습니다. 이제 최초의 한국계 뉴질랜드 국회의원으로서 조심스럽게 첫 발을 내딛으면서 제가 5,000년의 역사를 가진 대한민국의 딸이라는 사실과 한국 교민 공동체가 제 뒤에서 저를 응원해 주시고 계신다는 것을 항상 기억할 것입니다. Translation to the Korean community in New Zealand and Koreans all around the globe. Thank you for your support and encouragement. Your emails and phone calls of support came simply by virtue of the shared culture and heritage. I am truly humbled. I'm grateful that the Korean community is always behind me to support me as I take my baby steps as the very first New Zealand Member of Parliament of Korean heritage. Last but not least, to my God, I know you are always beside me to guide me. Mr. Speaker, it is a great honor and a privilege to be in this House as a Member of Parliament, and I pledge to do my very best.
Sorry?
Order. Order. The question